Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video. This is the overview of the planning capability. So if you want the full detailed run-through demonstration, you want the explored video. This one's just going to be slides and an introduction to the capabilities. So Project in a Box is all about centralizing your planning. Your plans will be held as files. They might be a planner file, they might be a Microsoft project or other formats. This is about getting the data out of those into a central data store so you can use it for all sorts of analysis, driving notifications, reporting, etc. So how does all that work in practice? You'll have some plans. You'll probably have a plan for each project. You might have more than one plan on each project, in fact, but they will be files in the system. Microsoft project file would be checked out, edited in Microsoft project, checked back in. Planner file, the same, edited in Planner. Excel, plan, edited in Excel. And every time you check that file out and check it back in again, we check the file to see if it's a required data source, and if it is, based on the list of data sources for that project, we'll then copy its data into the database. So our central database has the latest version of every task from every plan across the entire system. We do a bit of lining that up when it comes to resources. So when you've got resources allocated to tasks, we'll hook those through the username lookup so they're associated with particular users, and that can be really useful later when we're filtering and analysing this data. But once we have that central data store, you can reproduce Gantt charts and task lists, filtered if you want them to, across varying different ranges of data in the system. You can use it to generate resource profiles. You can use it to drive notification emails as well, such as when tasks are overdue or tasks are just about to start, etc. You can use it to drive calendar displays as well and milestone timelines. So once you have that data all centralized, it doesn't really matter to some degree which type of plan file it comes from. And people can't edit it in the system. They have to go back to the plan file to edit it. So this is great when somebody's sending you a plan and they're updating it regularly. They just keep sending you a supplier, for example, every month. You drop it into the system, all this data readout happens and it just gets merged together nicely for you. So there's a really logical flow to that data process. So what do we collect and calculate? So we can think of this in two different categories. We have Planner, which is our own tool. If you haven't seen it, Planner is a completely free, simplified planning tool. It's not as complex as Microsoft Project, but it's much easier to pick up, and it's completely free. So lots of other videos on that subject there. We also bring data from Microsoft Project. Naturally, from Microsoft Project files, you just load your Microsoft Project file and we bring the data out. We also will bring from formatted Excel, CSV, which can be used to bring in data from either an Excel plan or from other exports from other systems. We bring in slightly different things from some of these different tools. So we have what we consider to be a core data set, and that's brought in identically from Planner and Microsoft Project. And that's things like task ID and name, start and end dates of tasks, duration of task, percentage complete of task, description and comment of each task, and the resource allocations. There might be multiple resource allocations on a particular task, who the person is, and the percentage allocation. That's, if you like, very much the core information that people have in their plans. Not everybody even fills all these things in for their plans, but if they do, that information is going to be brought back out. You'll notice it doesn't say dependencies in here. That's because we let the Microsoft project file do its own dependency scheduling calculations to work out what tasks should start and finish depending on the dependencies set up on those tasks. When we read the data in, we just read in the start and end dates and the percentage completes, etc. So we're not rescheduling that in any way. We'll let Microsoft Project do its scheduling. We just bring in the completed finished data set. We then have an enhanced set of data that we just bring from Planner because it's our own tool. We can be completely in control about all that. And here, for example, we do bring dependency information, which means in the main system, when you look at tasks from different sources, if it's come from Planner, you'll see the dependencies showing. If you bring it from Microsoft Project, you won't necessarily see, well, you won't see the dependencies showing because we don't bring dependency information. We bring task colors as well, which allows you to identify different tasks in different colors. Tags, further information for filtering. The date the task was created, because we can use that to drive notifications. Task budgeting, so not just who the person is allocated the task, but what their cost rate might be, and therefore what the overall cost of the task might be, and fixed costs associated with tasks as well, and task actuals, what the amount of number of hours actually put against the task, and therefore its complete cost, etc., is going to be. Plan level status and commentaries, so you can store a single status for your plan. The plan is good or behind or ahead, and a commentary about that, rather than pulling that from individual tasks within the plan. We also calculate an additional percentage complete, which is progress to date percentage complete, and that's about looking at the are we on track measure. Not is the project is 90% complete, but we're 95% of the way through the duration, so it's actually behind. And it looks at what's actually complete by today that should be complete by today. And then we also calculate some plan finance stats, so totaling up all those budget and actual costs, and also calculating a progress cost for you based on percentage complete of those tasks. So some sort of simple earned value type measures coming from that data, all done for you automatically. We also then have a final set of things, and these are done at the point where we check the file in and load its data to the database, and the system will calculate for you the overall start and end dates of that plan and its percentage complete based on the data loaded in, and some task stats, the number of completed, overdue, in progress tasks, etc. So you can use that for driving metrics and reporting. So a whole load more happens behind the scenes with these plans, and depending on different type of plan, you'll get different things brought out. Dependencies are obviously very important, and dependencies, like I say, are normally managed within the source plan file. So we've got some examples of that here. This is a plan file. It's come from Planner. You can therefore see the dependencies showing, but those dependencies were set within the Planner file and used to schedule those tasks when they started and finished, perhaps. And as I say, you can see those displayed here, but these are within a particular project plan. Now, the main system also allows you to set up other types of dependencies, which are dependencies between project plans, and you'll see some of those here. So the milestone from this preceding plan here, this one, is driving the start date of this task, the start date of this task, and the start date of this task here. And those are what we call interplan dependencies. And those are set up not within the plan itself, but within the main system where we link those together. Now, those can only be done when the driven task, these later tasks, don't have a dependency within their own plan to drive them. And so there's a form for doing all that. We can do this with Microsoft Project as well, but we can only do it when Microsoft Project is feeding out. So this item here could be within Microsoft Project, but these can't be Microsoft Project plans because we have to reopen the plan and drive it again, and we can't do that with Microsoft Project, but we can do with Planner. And so here's the form for doing all that. You simply say, I want this task, UK Head Office A task, which is this one here, to be driven by the completion of the milestone from the corporate services, which is this one, with a lag of 20 days. So this one's got a lag of 20 days. It started 20 days afterwards. Other ones might be starting with no lag, as these two here would be. So you've got a form for setting all that up. And then what happens is, if we change the current plan up here, it'll drive changes to the following projects. These three projects, the plans would then be opened and rescheduled based on changes in dates of the first plan, and then close and check back in again. That happens automatically for you in the system. So this is really useful for program activities, interlinked projects, more sophisticated environments where people want to do that sort of thing. So we've got all this data present, and we have a really neat way of thinking about the data once it's in the central database. We have what we call data range and view. And data range decides how much, the maximum amount of data you may see. And the data ranges available to you depend on your permissions and license as well. So everyone can see what we call a My Data range. I can see all the tasks allocated to me in my current project, or in the current program or portfolio, or across the entire system. If they're allocated to me, I can see a list of them. If I'm the project manager, I can see a project list, and that's what this is here. This is the project tasks data range. All the tasks in the project. Now this would normally lines up against the source plan that you've put in. So even if this source plan was in Microsoft Project, you'll be able to see it direct in the system without having to go and open Microsoft Project again. Your team members, of course, will be able to see the tasks in their task list that came from Microsoft Project, even though they don't have a license for Microsoft Project. Of course, if my project had 2 or 3 plans in, I'd see the 2 or 3 plans here because they're all tasks for this project. But in this case, it's just one set of tasks coming from one plan, which is, of course, the most normal circumstance. Now, if we apply a view to this, which is what I've done here, I've got a view called overdue tasks. Actually, you can see that that's been selected here. So this has got a view called default, which just means show it like a normal plan. This is overdue tasks, and it's identified that one of the full tasks and 2 of the milestones in this project are showing as not complete, and they should be complete by now, therefore they're overdue. This task, which is in progress, might be behind, but it's not overdue, and therefore it's shown as a non-overdue task. So we just see these 3 here. That filter is a standard set of filters. It does all that logic for you. It also changes the display ranges. It can change the columns that are being displayed, which is what it's done here. It can change the color schemes that are used, etc. So it's maximized that into the screen so we can really see it. It's focused in on those activities. And that allows you to jump to that. And you can have a whole load of these saved views, which give you different bits of analysis depending on what you're interested in. We provide a load off the shelf, and you can personalize them to match your own requirements as well. So this is really useful for getting quickly to the things that you want. These can be pre-programmed in to jump to particular particular data ranges, and views are available from a pick list, making it nice and easy to do all that. So sharing your insight, we've got all this analysis. We've just been talking about live analysis of resources, of calendar and milestones, and Gantt chart type displays, task view displays. These are all live, and you can operate those with the pick list for views and data ranges, etc. Click to view further details, or within the application. That's within the Windows application and within the browser as well. Reports and dashboards. So you can get dashboards out live, and this is showing all the summary plans at a portfolio or program level, followed by individual plans underneath for the particular selected project. This is a typical report. So for example, this program report here has very much task and plan related data. We can see a resource chart for the program activities, and here we can see overdue milestones, and this is running a filter, a view of the type we were just talking about, which is chosen to switch off the Gantt chart and just list the overdue milestones, so not just tasks but specifically milestones within the projects in that program. So it's focusing on a particular set of data. It's just showing a very few columns, and then down at the bottom here we've got change, and these are change budget data coming back from risks and issues that might be within the same planner files actually. So bringing together all that sort of data into the one place. And then notifications. So notifications are really useful, like say driving notifications based on your task information, reminders of tasks due to start, when tasks are due to complete or are overdue because they're not quite complete but they should be, and sending reminders out to people about this sort of thing. Especially part-time members of project teams, you're not having to chase them all the time. The system's doing some of that mundane activity for you. So I hope you found that interesting. This is that's just been a quick overview. We have another video which takes you through in detail all of these activities, and we work through the examples showing you how all that works. That's the explored video, and you can see the details for this in the links below. Okay, thank you very much.